How's it going, everyone, and welcome back to another video of the F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, where we're bringing Brabham back to the very top of Formula 1. In the last episode, we had the Silverstone Grand Prix, and we struggled so much. I couldn't believe how quick the AI were around that circuit. I was surprised. I think qualifying showed it, which was weird because in practice, in the qualifying program, which is typically quite difficult to achieve, I managed to do quite well. I managed to pass the objective with a few tenths in hand as well, rather than it being quite tight. So it was strange to me that that was easy. And then in the qualifying and the race, it was quite difficult. I didn't change the difficulty. We're still at 106 like we were for Austria, where we finished P11. And okay, we weren't the quickest there, but I still wasn't struggling back with the Williams. So hopefully Hungary will be better for us. We have had a major aero upgrade come onto the car for this weekend, which is fantastic. We did also include a chassis upgrade at the end of the last episode, which I believe will come in a couple of Grand Prix time, but that's going to make a massive difference to our car going forwards. After completing some objectives through the timeline, I've also now got enough resource points to make a big upgrade to our engine, which is something that I'd really like to do. We're going to do a cylinder head engine power upgrade that's going to take us above Haas, which is going to be massive for us. That's where I feel like we're struggling. We haven't really developed that area of the car all that much, so this is something that I'd really like to do. Boost our engine power so that our car's not struggling in a straight line as much. Now that we've got 3.3 million in the bank, I'm going to make an upgrade to our fabrication for the chassis department. The chassis is somewhere where I think if we can really get that right, we'll be a lot quicker and closer into that midfield to get points more consistently. So I'm going to do a fabrication upgrade that's going to increase the amount of simultaneous upgrades we can do. So if we feel like we're struggling there, we can make 2 upgrades at a time, potentially rush the upgrade as well if we need to try and get it in before a specific Grand Prix. So we're going to do that, spend 2.5 million. We'll still have 1 million left in the bank, so that's more than enough for the moment until we start saving up later in the series for a new teammate potentially at the end of the year.
Heading straight into qualifying now, I felt like the car was set up reasonably well, but at the same time I'm not too sure we had a good qualifying car. I was struggling a little bit for pace. Just felt like the car was a bit lethargic, to be honest, but I didn't get a bad run through the first couple of corners. Then through this quick left-hander, this section here, this left-hander and the next right were probably my 2 best corners, I think. Missed the apex slightly, but you can get away with that as well. Coming into the final 2 corners, braked a little bit too late. I had to really slow it down to try and get the car rotated, and then just dropped the wheel on the grass on my first run and didn't get a great run through the last corner. So there was a lot to improve on heading in to our second run, and as you can see here, P21, Mick with a great effort in P16 so far. He seems to have picked up his game a little bit, but I had so much to improve on and work on in this session that I had to go out again, do another lap, and you can see here, coming into the chicane and the quick section here, 3 tenths, nearly 4 tenths up through this section. If you don't get your line right through here, and you make one mistake, it messes you up for all the others, and I just ran a little bit too wide there, but still gaining time. 3 tenths up, 4 tenths now, coming into the final 2 corners, and this is an area where I felt like I could really get a big improvement. You can see coming through the final corner, much better. Didn't quite get the throttle application, but we've gained 3.5 tenths and 6 tenths quicker than our previous best, and where does that put us? P19 for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Not the best effort, to be honest. I didn't feel like the car was quick enough. Valtteri Bottas on pole from Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, and then the McLaren of Carlos Sainz, and Mick Schumacher out of Q1 for the first time. A fantastic effort for him. I was a bit further back, which is a bit of a shame, but let's get into the race.
It's 6 lefts and 8 rights around the lap here, with average speeds in the region of 120 miles per hour. And with me, as usual, is Anthony Davidson. Let's talk about Mercedes. What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere within that team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Vettel, Verstappen, Alexander Albon, and Bottas. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Ricciardo, Sainz, Kvyat, and Esteban Ocon. Magnussen, Gasly, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Schumacher. Raikkonen, Perez, Romain Grosjean and Mr. Monaco, Norris, Stroll, Russell and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
Ready for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Qualifying was very average. Again, I'm struggling for pace, and Mick in P14 is a massive result. I suppose maybe with a couple of grid penalties, he might have been 15th, 16th, but even still, that is a massive effort from him, and he was quite a way quicker than I was in Q1, so hopefully we've got a better race car than I do a qualifying car, but at the moment I'm struggling for pace, and I've got no idea why. I feel like I'm still driving okay, but don't know whether it's the car, whether it's at the setup, I'm not too sure, but P19 is not the end of the world. It is roughly where we are, but the fact that Mick was that far up, I'm interested to see how we get on in this race, and hopefully we can both progress and make up a few positions in the race. As far as the strategy is concerned, it is looking like it's going to rain towards the end of the race. Now, I don't know whether to pit early and try and go as long as possible, but I think I'm just going to leave it as it is. It's only rain right at the end, maybe the last few laps, so hopefully we'll be able to get away with it, have a good setup for the rain as well as the dry maybe. I did put a fair bit on the wings, so hopefully that'll help us out if it does rain, which looks like it will do, and yeah, let's get into it. Ready for the start of the Hungarian Grand Prix. 5 red lights, Perez ahead. Great launch there. Fantastic launch. I'm going to try and go outside here. So hopefully Giovinazzi, he just blocked me off. Hanging around the outside there. Had to back off there. I don't know what they were doing, why they've slowed down so much, but I had to go for that. Very early on. Oh, that's my bad. I've tried to send up the inside of Ocon there. And it hasn't really worked out. It just turned in on me, which is fair enough. I wasn't really at the inside. I'm not sure what Giovinazzi and I can't remember who it was with him, what they were doing, but they've ended up just slowing down so much. You'd think that they'd just carry a bit of speed through the quick left-hander, but obviously not. We are ahead of a lot now. We've gained 8 positions, which is fantastic. We can just keep this up. The guys ahead of us will be pitting early because they're all on softs. So hopefully we can get a bit of track position with the rain potentially coming a bit later on as well. We'll get good track position. We might be in a great spot where they've had to make 2 stops and we can only make just the 1 prior to the rain arriving. We had good laps there, good opening laps. Ocon, they should be really pulling away. And I think Giovinazzi in that melee of turn 5, I think it is. Yeah, through this left-hander anyway. I think they may have picked up a bit of damage and it's holding everyone up because I'm able to pull away, which based on our quali pace shouldn't really be happening. So they may have had a bit of contact. I don't know what they were doing. It just doesn't make any sense to why they would go so slow. It's the same thing at turn 1 Silverstone opening lap. Just felt like maybe everyone was going a bit too slow ready for the corner, but it is what it is. We've been able to benefit from that though, so all gone a bit wide there. That's alright, we'll get away with it. Got great gaps. Yeah, I feel like they've got problems because at the moment I shouldn't really be pulling away from that pack based on car performance and qualifying. Don't know where Mick is, but he had all the pace in quali, and maybe we've got all the pace in the race. I was kind of hoping Jeff would tell me if he had damage or not, but I suppose he probably isn't looking too heavily. But we are pulling away, which indicates to me they've got damage, because they did hear something as we went through. As a couple of cars up ahead are going side by side into this quick left-hander. Using it right now, Jeff. Don't you worry about that, mate. We're gapping Giovinazzi pretty heavily, which is great for us. If we can get good track position for when the rain hits, with these guys stopping soon, probably for mediums, maybe hards, not too sure yet, we might be able to be in a great spot to get some points today with that rain coming, with a bit of strategy. Run a bit wide there, try and get a decent exit so I can gain a bit down the straight, but see a fair few more pitting. Will they get out ahead of that pack? Be pretty close, I'd imagine. And they have Giovinazzi and Magnussen both ahead of the Ferrari. Oh, they're right in that mix. Wow. All those cars coming in, and we're now in third place. It's the first time I think we've been in a podium position. And obviously we'll drop back a fair bit, but Giovinazzi again getting out ahead of everyone. We'll have to wait and see how that gap develops, but they're going to get held up massively. Gives us an opportunity to really press on now. Get some track position. Oh, it's terribly wide. Bit of oversteer. Third gear, exit. That wasn't so bad. Got away with that one. Managed to salvage it a bit. Bit of oversteer. You've got to be really careful with your line. Right, 10 minutes till rain. Through this section, you've got to be so disciplined with your line. As soon as you break away from the line, you will go wide, and you're messed up for the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. It's really a chain of corners that require you to be very disciplined and smooth. Don't want to get on that curb. As soon as you get up onto it, it wants to spin you right around. Oh, braked a bit deep into there. Managed to get away with it a little bit. Pit window opens in 3 laps. I'm not gonna box early, so I want to try and get out ahead of all these. Got 7 seconds in the bag, which is great. So I don't want to be in dirty air. I want to get into clean air to try and push on as much as I can. So hopefully, BRS. This can keep maintaining, getting further and further from the guys behind. A couple of laps to go. Be very interested to know if Giovinazzi had a problem. So I can't imagine him being this much slower than us, really, based on our pace in qualifying. One thing is for sure, I've got a much better race car than I do a qualifying car. 1 lap pace, really struggled. But the car feels actually better in the race as well on heavier fuel, which doesn't make a lot of sense, but I'd rather it that way, to be honest. Qualifying is important, but if you can race, you know, points aren't really given out of them in junior formulas for qualifying well, so at the moment, I'd rather it this way. We can just keep working on the car and getting it better as we progress, upgrade our HQ and the car at the same time as well. Interestingly enough, still Giovinazzi and Magnussen behind, which means that Vettel, Leclerc, those guys, the Ferraris and the Red Bulls, haven't been able to make any progress behind, which helps me out a lot. I know they've already pitted, but with the rain coming, if we can get decent track position, then we're in a great spot for the end of this race. We've got a pit stop ahead. Silverstone could have pitted for tyres and still won the race, but oh well. Definitely not trying to battle a Mercedes, that's for sure, after qualifying 19th, but race car's pretty good. Feeling very comfortable. 8 seconds now, it's a good gap. I think 10 seconds was a bit optimistic, but 8 seconds I can actually probably be happy with. I haven't experienced yet how the car handles when it's raining a little bit on dry tyres. It's only ever been definitely wet for my races or anything like that, so I'd be interested to see how long I can go before the tyres start to go, not off, but the water on the track gets too much for the dry tyres. Into the pits we come. We're P3 at the moment. Giovinazzi is pitting, which is important. Magnussen's carried on, with Leclerc behind him. It'll be interesting to see where we come out now. Gasly also in the pits. There's a big gap. Mick's there holding some people up. Oh, we've got a great position here with quite a few of these guys still having to pit now. I think I'm just going to push as hard as I can to try and get out ahead of everyone else when the rain comes. Because once the rain does arrive, these tyres are still going to be in pretty good nick if I try and manage it. So I'm just going to push as hard as I can. These guys will hopefully hold each other up and I can make some progress with a few starting to come into the pits as well. Decent run out the last corner there. Use my ERS and DRS. Try and get up to the back of them. Probably won't make it work into here, but I know I'll be close after the quick left-hander. Brake way too late there. Should be close enough here. Maybe not quite. This is exactly what I was hoping for. For people to pit now, and then I'm in a great position come the end of this race when the rain comes and they all have to make an extra stop and I've got track position. Currently out of DRS range. Oh, he's pitted anyway. Perfect. In a bit of no man's land now. Ocon pitting. Gasly is very far away from us. 10 seconds. Ricciardo's 3.6 and pulling away a bit. Just noticed a few spots of rain coming. And I'm going to wait this out as long as possible just to see what the track does. Because I don't want to pit too early, but I don't want to pit too late either. So I'm just going to keep pushing, and until once I start to feel the car not performing, then that's when I'll come in. Everyone stayed out, so everyone in front of me stayed out anyway. So I'm going to stay out for another lap. Again, end of this lap. The others have stayed out, and I'm not losing that much time really. Other than normal tyre wear. My own mistakes. I'm not really losing that much. Oh, big mistake there. See what I mean about that curb? As soon as you get onto it, just throws the car off centre. Makes you turn way too much and gets the car rotating way too much. Surely, the amount of rain, we've done like 4 laps with this sort of wet weather. I'm going to trust you, Jeff, on this call. And with the amount of water that's coming down, but with the little amount of laps left, I wonder if it's going to be quick enough to finish this race. Every time I ask Jeff about the tyres or the weather, he just says that dries are the quickest. Ricciardo and all the others have stayed out, so that's what I'm going to do. Don't want to give up this track position because we're in the points here. P8. Oh, made a mistake there, but got away with it. There's a lot of people not come in, so it still says dries, even though it's starting to rain properly and has been for quite a number of laps now. Way oversteer there. Strategy change now. Can start to feel the tyres going off. Maybe I could have boxed that lap, but Jeff kept telling me it was fine, so I carried on. Yeah, you start to feel it now. Just gonna really slow it down. DRS is disabled, so that definitely means it's too wet. Try and just have good pace on the in-lap. See where we end up, but everyone's going to have to do the same. Oh, bit of oversteer. In the pits. Tyres are mediums. See where we end up. Everyone's going to have to do the same. Ricardo's going to get out ahead of us. Everyone's behind's coming into the pits, so hopefully this will be us for the rest of the Grand Prix. Got out plenty of time behind. Gasly, Magnussen, they're all going to come in and box each other in as well, so hopefully that means that we can just press on, get a nice finish in P8. Definitely wet enough now. You can see the spray coming off the tyres. 4 laps to go. I want to keep pushing. I've got gaps in front and behind, but just don't want to be too complacent and just take this position. You never know what's going to happen. Someone might have a problem and might go down to the last lap. You just never know. So I'm just trying to push as hard as I can without coming off, just in case. Keep this pace up. Because as soon as you let off, that's when the others are going to start catching. You make mistakes, not staying focused. You need to see if Vettel does drop behind where Ricciardo is. I mean, there's only a lap and a half to go, so probably shouldn't be a problem for him, but Magnus is out of the race. Wonder what's happened to him. A bit wide. Coming on to the final lap. And these gaps, 11 ahead of us, 14 behind. And cruise to the finish line now. Stay smooth on all my inputs, short shifting, look after it all. So Mick's not had a good day, has he? Qualified really well, very impressed with that. And then in the race, I mean, these gaps are massive. 12 in front, 14 behind. Yellow flag's up ahead by the sounds of it. Might be Mags's car. Yeah, looks like it on the mini-map. There you go, Kevin Magnussen on the side of the road. Something's happened to him. That's a shame because they were close to the finish as well. So it's a DNF for Haas, not great for them. Coming around the final few corners now. Second gear, over the curb. Short shift to third, short shift to fourth. Got a bit of oversteer. Coming around the last corner now. Cruising round, I mean, such a big gap behind. That's a great result. Tell you what, P8 I'm delighted with after qualifying was so abysmal. That's a great effort from us. The car felt really good in the race, but in qualifying it felt pretty horrendous. And the car actually felt better in the race than in qualifying. Rather than just being faster in comparison to everyone else, I actually felt like the car was better. George Russell driver of the day would have seen just there. Great result for them. I wonder where they finished actually. Williams have been struggling in real life and in this series as well. And hopefully, I'd love to see Williams back winning again, especially with a driver like George Russell. He's put him in a good car and he is right at the front. Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. Those two Mercedes are just so fast. It is outrageous. They're so quick. It must be a dream to drive that thing. So there we have it. End of the Hungarian Grand Prix. P8 for us. 4 more points in our championship fight, which is fantastic. Gasly, our rival, was behind us. He got 2 more points. And I tell you what, Mick Schumacher in 14th. I'm delighted for him. That's probably, I think that's his best result to date. George Russell ahead of him though, which I would expect him to beat George, but see why he got driver of the day. Started 21st and ended up 13th. They must have got a strategy right as well. Mick's time was very average, very similar to Russell's, and then heading back, people obviously got caught out pretty heavily with the likes of Norris and Stroll. back there and Perez. You'd expect the Racing Point to be a little bit faster than that, but P8 for us, great result. 4 more points even, 4 more points, and let's get into these highlights. Managed to get a pretty good run off the line, managed to pass a few, and heading into turn 1, had to try and find the outside, brake a bit early as Giovinazzi cut across me and tried to hang it around the outside of the AlphaTauri there, which managed to work out for me pretty well. Was able to do pretty good into the next left-hander, turn 2, turn 3, whichever one you want to call it, and then into here. These two battling side by side, and I just managed to throw it right up the inside of both of them. I'm not sure why they were so slow. Can't even see if Giovinazzi had any problems on the wing there, but it was a great result for us. Then we stuck behind Ocon here, but the strategy that we had really helped us because we were able to cut the corner a bit there. That is shocking. Can get away with it though, so you might as well use it. Run a bit wide there and then through the quick right-hander. This section here, you've got to be so precise. If you get it wrong by even half an inch, you've messed yourself up. And if you don't get the first one right, then it messes you up for the following corners. In this phase of the race, we were just following and they ended up gapping us. I made a few mistakes and got out of the DRS range, but it wasn't the end of the world. Onto the hard tyres. We were able to have a good pit stop, good strategy from the team. Through the quick left. These were my 2 best corners by far. Running a little bit wide there, but we're in good shape. I think the car performed a lot better in the race than it did. You can see the rain starting to come down. I spent a lot more time on the hard tyre once it started to rain than I really expected to, so I didn't anticipate having to come in so late, but there we are, coming over the line in the wet conditions. P8 for us, a great result. Cash goes up, 655k, got all of our bonuses, which is fantastic for us. And there we go, another base payout. Mick obviously had damage, so I'm not sure whether that happened in qualifying all the races, but maybe if it happened in the race, he might have been a bit higher up and closer to the points. Going to do a front downforce upgrade as well. We've got enough resource points, and I think that's going to help us out. We've got a few big upgrades coming, but a little bit of downforce can never go amiss. So we do have a major chassis and engine upgrade coming, and the aero side, and then you can see there in the index we're getting really close, but we're not yet in that midfield where I kind of want to be, so we'll have to keep pushing, keep getting better and improving this car until we're right there scoring points consistently.
At the moment you seem to be a solid mid-tier team. What do you think will take your team to the next level?
I'm going to say we've got some great developments to our chassis in the pipeline. That is true. We do have a major weight reduction upgrade coming, so hopefully that'll help us boost right into that midfield rather than at the back of it.
Your second driver seems to be getting much more comfortable with their car. Have you been focusing on their development?
I'm going to say they're making progress, but I think we can push them harder. Mick's done a better job in qualifying, particularly in Hungary. He did a great job to get out of Q1, but still not good enough. He still needs to improve in the races, so hopefully we can help push him along a little bit.
Do you see your relationship with your second driver being long-term, or will you be looking for someone else if you're successful?
I'm going to say we invest in our staff here, so long as they put in the effort, we will support them. If Mick keeps performing, then he's got his job, but if he doesn't perform and we're starting to progress, score points, and he's not scoring points, then it's game over for him and we'll have to get somebody else in at the end of the season.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
I'm going to say absolutely not. There's no team orders. No team orders here. If Mick's the faster driver like he was in qualifying, then fair play to him. I'm not going to say, well, get out the way because I want to score points. If he's in a points-paying position, I'll do what I can to fight. But if I can't make it, then good for him. It's all about the constructors at the end of the day as well. It's only going to come at the end of the month. So we've got our next upgrades are going to come after this Grand Prix, but they will boost us up quite a lot. And that is where I'm going to leave the episode for today. Belgium Spa coming up next. Awesome track. It's one of the prettiest circuits you'll ever go to and a wicked circuit to drive on as well. Hungary was, in the end, a great result. Qualifying was pretty awful, but I felt like the car was a lot better in the race, and the help of strategy as well was pretty good. I'm pretty confident Giovinazzi picked up a bit of damage because I wasn't that much faster than the others after we'd all pitted, so maybe he had a bit of damage and I was able to go quicker, but the car definitely felt good in the race. No upgrades for Spa, but after Spa we've got some big upgrades coming, and that is going to be really important to boost us right into the middle of that midfield. As always, thank you ever so much for watching. I really appreciate all the support. Please like and subscribe onto the channel for more F1 2020 My Team content. And I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.